Hello, everybody, and welcome back to whatever this show is, where I talk about comic books every other month. So, like with last time, I did not go out and buy comic books, but I have been reading a lot of comic books, and I would like to talk about what I've been reading. First of all, I can't quite remember if I talked about this last time, but I finally finished reading The Batman Who Laughs. This wasn't a backstory on the Batman Who Laughs. This was a sort of a sequel-y, spin-off-y thing that's spinning out of Dark Knight's Metal. It was interesting enough. It was not what I expected from page one, but I ended up liking it. It was a really self-contained story. There were only a couple different characters in it, and you get to find out a lot about the Batman Who Laughs. You get to find out about some of his more weirder powers that you never really get to hear about, and you get a little bit more on his backstory and why he's doing the things he's doing and all that stuff, which leads nicely into Death Metal, which I'm finally reading as it is coming out on trade paperback. And I'm glad I waited, because back in the day when Death Metal was actually releasing, I priced how much it would be to just buy all of it, single issues, and it came to $112. And because it goes on sale as soon as it goes up for sale on Comixology, I'm probably only going to be spending $30 on this series, which is such a deal. But Death Metal is so good so far. It's basically a D&D campaign. Without spoiling too much, the Batman Who Laughs essentially takes Earth, I think Earth 1, and takes control of it, literally shifts continents around to his liking, and then he basically rules over Earth. The main character of Dark Knight's Death Metal is Wonder Woman, believe it or not. She's sort of leading the resistance against the Batman Who Laughs. Death Metal, Batman Who Laughs, all these series revolve around the concept of this Batman from this universe is this. It'll be this Batman is the Flash, and this Batman is Doomsday, and this Batman is Aquaman, but everyone is the reverse gender of what they're supposed to be on that planet. So it's a lot of stuff like that. So keep in mind when you're reading Death Metal that even though the main character is in fact Wonder Woman, that it's still Dark Knight's Death Metal. There's still a lot of Batman stuff, and a lot of the Batmans that are included in this are very strange, and I don't want to spoil any of them. But in Metal, they had very easy to understand concepts. It was like Batman, but it's Cyborg. This one, they get a little weirder. So just keep an open mind in that regard. But I haven't finished that yet. I'm about, a third of the way through. And I'm probably going to not be able to finish it until about May, because that's when the last trade paperback that I was going to get comes out. But I'm not going to do another one of these until June anyways, so maybe I'll do a little Death Metal wrap-up. So next up, I wanted to talk about Tom King's Vision comics. Essentially, Vision wants a normal life, so he makes a synthezoid wife and 2 synthezoid children, and they live in a normal suburban town. But he's still an Avenger the whole time. Even though he's trying to live this normal life, he still has to go fight crime sometimes. So there was a lot of different characters that I would have never expected to show up in this who showed up, namely the Avengers. And it was really interesting. It was not what I expected, and it drew a lot more similarities to WandaVision than I was led to believe it would. Something I did want to share about this one, which I found fascinating. This book is narrated by someone, and they don't really tell you who. So I was trying to guess. At first I thought maybe it was Vision, but you quickly find out that it's definitely not. My 2 big guesses were that it was Wanda or Ultron. But as it turns out, it was Agatha. As in it was Agatha all along, Agatha. And it really was Agatha narrating all along.
It's been Agatha all along. And I killed Sparky, too.
Every time Agatha Harkness shows up, whether it's in this or in, something else, or even WandaVision, she breaks the fourth wall in a pretty interesting and creative way, and this comic is no different. I'm not going to say anything else about it. you should read it. It's very good. So next I want to move on to Curse of the White Knight. You've probably heard me talk about Batman White Knight before by Sean Murphy. I talked about how I really, really liked it, right? This is his follow-up. So he wrote and drew it again, and this is a sequel, a direct sequel to White Knight. I haven't read all of it yet. I'm about 3 or 4 issues in. It's getting really good. This isn't really a spoiler as it's revealed pretty much right away, but the villain in this one is Azrael. If you don't know about Azrael, I won't bore you talking about him. You should go look him up. He's very, very cool. He's a really neat villain, and I'm interested to see what the White Knight universe has to offer in terms of him being the main villain. Also, I've said this before, I'll say it again, the White Knight series, I guess as it is now, that being White Knight and Curse of the White Knight, and I can only assume White Knight presents Harley Quinn, which I've not read yet, but that's because you're supposed to read it after you read this one. In today's socio-political environment, worldwide environment, this book goes down smooth. You know, it's got a relatable subject matter to things that are going on planet Earth. I don't want to really want to be too specific, but you know. Next, I briefly wanted to mention RWBY/Justice League. I started reading it. I'm not really liking it, but it's not the comic book's fault. It's clearly more what if the Justice League was in RWBY and not the other way around. And I don't really watch RWBY. I think I watched season 1 and 2, and then I just stopped. Not for any particular reason, but I definitely haven't kept up enough to be interested in this book. But it has been coming out very quick. They released like 4 issues day 1, and that was like 3 weeks ago, and now they're on issue 7, I think. So if that does interest you, I'm sure it's great. The writing's good. I don't know that much about RWBY, so I found myself a little uninterested. Next, I want to talk about Judo Girl by Arcane Comics or Arcana Comics. I don't know. Judo Girl had a 2 out of 5 on Comixology, and I can see why. It was not good. I was like, I'll just read an issue, see if I like it. Issue 1 was not good, and Judo Girl wasn't even in it that much. So I kept reading. I read 3 issues for some reason, and they're all bad. Don't read it. Judo Girl is bad. Next up, I wanted to talk about Injustice. Injustice Gods Among Us. I actually have this one right here. This is year 2, and I believe there's 5 years, and I'm about... Man, I should use bookmarks, but I don't. I'm like halfway through year 2. I read year 1, all 13 issues of it in 2 days. I liked it so much. If you are someone who is easily upset or disturbed, the beginning of this book is kind of hard to get through. But if you can get through it, it's a really interesting read. It's a really quick read. And if you've played the games, you know what I'm referring to. So it doesn't get much worse than that. If you can get past that, I really do recommend it. Year 2 is all about, as you can see, it's all about Superman versus the Green Lanterns. All of them. I don't know. It's really good. I recommend it. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about Infinite Frontier. Last time I talked about Future State. Death Metal, so I've heard, leads directly into Future State, which is sort of they were like 2-issue long teasers for Infinite Frontier. Infinite Frontier is like the new thing they're doing. It was like New 52, Rebirth, those things. This is now Infinite Frontier. They released issue 0. It's just called Infinite Frontier issue 0. It was essentially like a teaser trailer. It was like 1 page per story, just going over all the stories that are going to be happening all over Infinite Frontier. A lot of interesting stuff. Black Adam is in the Justice League now. One of the Batmen is fighting Scarecrow, which looked pretty cool. But that's where it got confusing with all the Batmen, because like there would be a scene in issue 0 where Batman's talking to Spoiler and Barbara, what's her name, Batgirl, and it would be like, so does those couple pages continue in Batman Urban Legend or Batman 1039 or the new Batman or Son of Batman? Like there's a lot of Batman. The issue 0, because it was trying to be a continuous story, told through the eyes of the Spectre, if you know who that is, didn't do a great job of informing me, a person who could potentially go on to buy these runs, which one was which. But I have been reading some of them, namely Teen Titans Academy, Harley Quinn, and Crime Syndicate. Crime Syndicate is 2 issues in now. The Crime Syndicate, if you don't know, they're from Forever Evil. Essentially, they come from an Earth where the Justice League are all evil, and they all have their evil counterparts. That's where Ultraman and Superwoman and Johnny Quick and Power Ring, that's where they all come from. It's Earth, 2, I think? I want to say they're from Earth 2, but I could be totally wrong. But this is their first official run. This is their first, the story's all about them, and it takes place on their Earth. Next, we move on to Teen Titans Academy, which is unfortunately only 1 issue long so far. I thought Teen Titans Academy and Harley Quinn issue 2 were coming out today, actually, but they did not. It is next week, and I don't know why they have to come out so infrequently, but it's whatever. I'm not going to complain. I guess I kind of just did. Whatever. Teen Titans Academy is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the Justice League teaching the Teen Titans. That's not what it is. It is veteran Teen Titans member like Robin and Raven and Starfire and Beast Boy and Cyborg and all them teaching the new class of Teen Titans. And DC Comics, if I may, I made a video about my perfect Teen Titans team makeup, and in the video I talk about Batgirl and I talk about Billy Batson, aka Shazam, and I talk about how I think they would be cool in the Teen Titans and how they've never done that before. Cut to Teen Titans Academy, which only came out a couple months after that video, and you do have a Batgirl and you do have Billy Batson, aka Shazam, in your Teen Titans. And I guess what I'm saying is, where's all my money for the idea you stole? Teen Titans Academy focuses around the Red X, which I talked about last time when I was talking about Future State Teen Titans, because believe it or not, Future State Teen Titans is actually the end of Titans Academy. They told the end first, and now we get to see how we got there, which is interesting, because that's not really what they're doing with all of the Future State stuff. I'm about to talk about Harley Quinn here in a minute, and Future State Harley Quinn has absolutely nothing to do with Infinite Frontier Harley Quinn, as far as I can tell. But yeah, the series focuses on Robin and his relation to Red X, and how there's a new Red X, but it's usually Robin, but it's not Robin anymore, and they're not telling us who it is. They still haven't told us who it is. 3 issues technically in so far, and they haven't told us who it is. So I'm interested to see who it is. I hope it's someone I recognize. My theory is that it's Jason Todd, which I would be cool with. I've grown to really like Jason Todd over the years. I feel like a year or 2 ago, I kind of found him boring and uninteresting, but I've grown to really like him. I like the Red Hood a lot. And then there is something called Issue 1 Secret Files Infinite Frontier. I think they're digital first, 10 to 15 page spin-off stories telling a brief story about some of the heroes that are part of Infinite Frontier but maybe aren't getting their own run. Issue 1 was about President of the United States, Superman. I forget his name and his Earth. My mistake. It's the black president, Superman, who's loosely based off of President Barack Obama. And essentially his one-off was about how hard it is, how difficult it is to be Superman and president, which, yeah, I can see how that might be difficult. And then, last but not least, Infinite Frontier Harley Quinn. As you know, I did not enjoy Future State Harley Quinn. I thought it was poorly executed, and the titular character was underutilized, and I thought that a lot of the writing decisions they made were pretty bizarre. But Infinite Frontier Harley Quinn has nothing to do with that. That is also, as I said, 1 issue long so far, and I'm really liking it. The art style is great. That you can tell that this Harley Quinn is the next step for Harley Quinn. She's not evil, but she's also not she's not with the Joker, but she's also not with Poison Ivy. This is the continuation of her story, what she does after she's evil and then sort of not evil. In this one, she's actually trying to be good. It seems like she might actually be Batman's sidekick for a little bit, which seems really cool. And she has this wall It's like a web of like all the people she wants to like reconcile with, all the people she feels like she owes like an apology or something. And right in the middle is an envelope that says Pam, and Batman tries to like grab it and she's like, no, don't. So there's clearly still some Poison Ivy baggage that's going on, and I'm really interested to keep reading it. I love, and there's a little bit of this as far as I've read in Curse of the White Knight too. I love the Batman Harley Quinn team up, the friendship or whatever you want to call it. I really dig that, and I think that could be really interesting, and I can't wait to see how Curse of the White Knight ends, and I can't wait to read White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, because she's one of the more interesting characters to come out of White Knight. And I'm really interested to see how Infinite Frontier Harley Quinn continues. I mean, you all know what I think about this character. She's my absolute favorite, and I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff you could do with her. And this whole, like, I'm turning a new leaf, I want to be good now, there's no evil in me whatsoever. I think it's time for that. I think Harley Quinn is turning neutral good at the appropriate time. I think that I've heard enough about her as a villain. I've heard enough about her as a solo, write my own story anti-hero. And now I want to see what she can do for the forces of good. But yeah, that'll do it for me. So reading comics as they come out, like waiting week after week for a new issue and actually reading them as they release, is kind of new to me. I don't typically do that. Normally what I do when I buy comics is I will just wish list them and wait for them to go on sale, and I'll scroll through my wish list every so often and be like, oh, $2 for a run of Justice League I had my eye on or whatever, and then I'll read it eventually. So this whole reading them as they come out thing is very new to me. It's exciting. And the reason I brought that up was because if there is a comic book that is coming out or has already come out, and you would like me to check out and sort of give a mini review on this show, this comic book talk show, please let me know in the comments, because chances are if it's a classic run of a certain hero, I probably already own it and just haven't read it yet. And I don't just read DC and Marvel. I read Archie, I read IDW, I read Dark Horse. I don't think I'll be tuning into any more Arcana comics, but you know. But I'm down to read whatever. I just love comics, and if there's a certain comic run that someone in the comments wants me to read and review, I will definitely do that for next episode, which will be out in June. Thank you for watching. Go read comics. Go watch comic book movies and TV shows. And until next time, I've been Thunder, one half of Thunder and Lightning Gaming. Go follow us on Twitch. We stream every Wednesday and Sunday. And until next time, stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you next time.
Hi.
Let's keep this brief.
So in the month of April, we'll be conducting
Our biggest contest and giveaway yet.
The goal?
Help us reach 200 subscribers on YouTube and 35 followers on Twitch.
Here's what you can get if these goals are met.
Please make sure to follow, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.